I'm Simon Krasner, your interviewer, and you are?
Claudia Deen-Malo.
All right. Claudia, when did you join the Historical Society? If you remember. You don't remember when you joined the Historical Society? Do you remember the circumstances around joining the Historical Society? Did your brother talk you into it, or?
Yeah. I started working up here about maybe 10 years ago, coming in on Wednesdays. So, probably back in the 60s, 70, 80, I joined. But I worked, so I didn't participate up here. I'm a lifetime.
You've been working here for a long time.
Well, the lifetime is, when you just pay the one fee and then you don't have to pay again.
Okay.
That's what lifetime is.
So what would you like to say about your brother, Sisco? What would you be willing to say about your brother, Sisco?
What to say about him?
Yeah. What,
Here's
what's some fun stories, like the time he left you at the movie theater, or?
Oh. Well, we were young. My brother had to go meet his friends at the movie house on US 1. And I wanted to go to the movies, and my mother made Sisco take me. And on the bicycle, as we were riding down the road alley, that he tried to throw me off the bike handle. But anyway, we got to the movie house, and he wouldn't let me sit with him. So he sat up front. No, I had to sit up front, and he sat in the back with his friends. And then he left, and then I woke up and there was nobody there. The lights weren't on, and so he had left me there. Purposely, I don't know. He never could remember. But luckily, that back in that time, they didn't lock anything up, so I got to the telephone and called, and Mama came and picked me up. And then he was got reprimanded. I won't say by the belt, but that's probably what it was.
So, what would you like to say about your dad?
My dad? Well, he was strange, I guess. Mother and Daddy got divorced in the 50s, and when I was in the 3rd grade, they got a divorce, and back at that time, women didn't divorce their husbands. They just lived with whatever problems that they had in their marriage. And my mother was a strong-willed person, and so she divorced, and we moved to Ormond. It was in 1953. And so then Daddy was allowed to, once a month he took my youngest brother and I, Joey, to places. But he never took Sisco, because Sisco was 4 years older than me. So he was always into something, doing something. He just didn't do anything, the 3 kids. It was always just youngest brother and I.
Okay. So, what business did your dad run in Bunnell, and?
Well, he was in the Navy, and then became Merchant Marines, and then he became a, what do you call that? He worked on power plants. He was like Florida Power and Light, the stacks and silos and things like that. He had to go around the state and check on them. And that's, and then when he was coming back in 1969 from around Tampa, and he was on Route 50, and that's when he was coming during rush hour, and then a car going, Daddy was going east and he was going west, and the man had a heart attack.
Oh, wow.
Came over in the media and hit Daddy head on. And they took him to the hospital, and he lived to be for about a month. He had both knees broke and legs broke, and of course at that time, you know, a lot of his things that he used to do kind of hindered him from getting better.
Smoking and the drinking.
Yeah. So anyway, so he died on July the 20th, 1969, the day they landed on the moon.
Mm-hmm.
And also it's my youngest brother's birthday, Joyce.
Wow. Quite a memorable day now.
Yeah.
So what did your mother do?
My mother was an LPN, and before she was that, she worked in some of the, well, it's not fast food restaurants, but back in that time they had like the filling station, and they would have a place where a little truck stop and all, and Mama used to cook there, and then she became a nurse, had an LPN, and of course back then they didn't have any hospitals or doctors around in the area, so that's what she did, and she graduated in Fort Lauderdale. And her picture's in the museum down there on the wall. First graduating class out of that, and also she was belonged to the track. She ran track, and back in that time, women didn't do that, but she did that. And then my grandfather lived down there, and he was a silent projectionist for movies. And then his wife, my grandmother, was a piano player and dressmaker, and she used to play for the silent films.
Wow, complete film industry side of the family.
Yeah, and then they, my grandfather family, of course, came from Indiana, and they lived here, and then they had a couple of sons and one daughter, and of course they lost James. I can't think of James Bowie on the Oklahoma in Pearl Harbor.
Oh, yes.
And they just found about a year and a half, 2 years.
His jawbone, right?
They just found a piece of his bone, so now they can put that bone in his grave over in Hawaii. And
are there any aunts, uncles, cousins that you'd like to tell a story or two about? Are there any aunts, uncles, cousins that you'd like to tell stories about?
Uncle here, uncle there. We used to have, I had, my grandfather had 3 different sets of people, children. So we had 4 from the first marriage, and then 3 from the second, and then 3 from the third. And none of them are living now. But we used to, visit them when Daddy used to come pick us up sometimes. And then my uncle, Sonny, was the last uncle that I had living, and he died, I think it was 3 years ago. And he was a turpentine, and his house is in DuPont, Florida, and that's my grandfather built that out in DuPont.
What would you like to tell us about the cookbooks and your work with that?
Oh, my cookbook?
Yes, ma'am.
I have my own cookbook.
Did
you? My own recipes.
Yeah, that we send out every week or so.
Oh.
Would you like to talk about that? And
Well, my grandmother kind of spurred me on. She was a baker as well as a home baker, and the silent piano player. But she always got up about 4 or 5 o'clock and baked, or either couldn't sleep. She'd go to bed at 8. But anyway, I enjoy cooking, baking mostly, and I don't do icing.
I can also say your cooking and baking is very good.
Yeah.
What else? So, would you like to bring up any history about former members of the Historical Society? Like, your thoughts, your opinions on them? Like, former presidents that you've worked with that you'd like to bring up their memory of?
Well, everybody that has worked here and has had gone on has been very good for the Historical Society. It's just that we need room, just like most historical societies, and we try to not take in any items that we can't trace back to our county, and then some of the things we can direct, like we got uniforms in one time, and from somebody that moved down from New Jersey, and there must have been 15 or so uniforms, and so we donated those to the place in the Veterans Museum in Daytona, where they have a museum in the former library of the different things doing to military.
All the former service members, their memorabilia.
Yeah, we all have memorabilia.
Memorabilia.
Yeah.
It's a fun word.
Yeah, but it's just that history, you can't lose history. My oldest brother Sisco and I are, like history, but then my youngest brother, he hasn't ever gotten that bite to do anything with history. He hasn't even been up here. But, I mean, most of the stuff in here is related back in the 1800s when people started moving to the town of Bunnell.
And your family helped with the foundation of Bunnell?
Yeah, and on the cornerstone of the courthouse, courthouse, across the street. So.
Huh. Is there... Well, how would you like
what's
to...
Up? No, man, Jay did. He used my phone to call you.
Okay. Well,
Stop there.
It's okay. Bye. Have a great day. Bye.
All right, now she's off the phone.
Sorry about that.
it's all right. Well, would you like to talk about how you came up with your quote about whenever an old person dies, the library burns?
Oh, you remembered that.
Yes, I did. So how did you come up with that one?
Well, it was on Facebook. Somebody had written that. Well, you know, when someone dies, their library closes, which we all know that anything, all of our thoughts and memories are no more. You know, we make new ones.
That's very true.
We always try to remember things and to talk to people, you know, about history and, you know, help them out with, you know, with inviting them to come to the Flagler Historical Society, as well as the other ones, local ones in Volusia and Flagler County and Polk County.
Mm-hmm.
That was nice.
Is there anything you'd like to say to future members of the Historical Society who might see this recording in 20, 30, 40 years?
Well, they should get involved. But at the time that I joined here, I was working, so I couldn't really get involved. But then when I quit my daughter, my sister-in-law says, your brother needs you. So I came up to do once a week and then once a month, I mean. And then when our president stepped down and everything, I just assumed coming up 4 times a week. I mean, 4 times a month.
Once a week.
Yeah. So.
Well, that. Thank you, Claudia, for participating in the interview process. If you think of anything else that you would like us to record for later, feel free to come to me and we'll try and get it recorded and saved.
Okay.